What is up, guys? I go by the name of Wesley. Today we are reacting to an animation that was done by a gentleman or lady. I actually don't know. I have no idea. I've never watched Domics before. But an animation done by Domics, which is called Insecurities. This is something I'm very excited for because I have a multitude of rational, semi-rational, and completely rational insecurities. You know, it could be something that it's good to be insecure about. Maybe. I don't know. So I'm really curious to see what the topic is. Love animations as always. Love discovering new creators. So let's just check it out and jump right into it.
Insecurity is caused by characteristics we have that make us feel ugly, undesirable, envious, and can heavily affect our self-esteem and confidence towards others. There are plenty of things to be insecure about, but not enough reasons to justify them, in my opinion. We simply have things...
Okay, I'm sorry for laughing. I don't know if this is done intentionally, but this 100% looks like the Titan from Attack on Titan. Spoiler alert for episode 1 of Attack on Titan. Skip ahead. Spoiler alert. I'm going to say it. 3, 2, 1. That eats Aaron's mom. Doesn't it? This looks like the Titan. I'm watching through the series again, so that's my first thought. But yeah.
Things that make us different from the average. As someone who wasn't blessed with the blood of Adonis, I thought I'd share some of my insecurities, hopefully to give it less power over me and maybe give you the realization that it's
Bro, I think you're handsome as hell. Look at you. What do you have to be insecure about? You're gorgeous. You don't even have a nose. You've got such a great, you don't even have one. You're not even on the scale. You're beautiful. Don't be insecure. Look at your hair. Your hair's gorgeous.
Bad feeling different. The first one is probably the obvious one. I am short. I've been short my entire life, and it wasn't until I was around 20 when I finally admitted to myself that my growth spurt would never come. I'm currently 5 feet 2 inches tall and have told people that I'm 5'3", with the mindset that I'm 5'2 and a half with shoes on, so I might as well round up an inch. The problem with that...
Brother, you might as well. You might as well. I mean, like, I don't think anybody is going to begrudge somebody who's 5'2", the 5'3" spot. You know, people get a little bit hinky at about, like, if you're 5'8" and you're exaggerating to, like, 5'11" or 5'10", yeah, people are going to cut you down to size, get it? But the big one is 5'11" or 5'10", saying you're 6 foot. Because 6 foot is, like, the line. I know this because I am 5'10" and 3/4 exactly. With boots on, I can get away with 6 foot. I've tried to exaggerate to 5'11", get away with it. No problem. Exaggerate to 6 foot, people, and my ass. Nobody cares about claiming you're 5'11". Nobody cares. As long as you're over 5'8". As soon as you claim 6 foot, dunzo. You're ended.
It doesn't matter in the eyes of taller people, because to them, anyone under 5'5" is automatically rounded down to the nearest foot, so I guess to anyone who asks, I am now 5 feet tall. Being short has always affected my self-esteem. Pants didn't feel like they matched my proportions, and men's shoes are rarely in my size, so I never really enjoyed shopping for clothes. I had to accept that fashion designers had to cater to an average that I didn't fit into, which, from a business perspective, makes total sense. Back to the kids section, I go.
Why? I don't think that that's a bad thing, honestly. Like, I don't think there's any reason inherently that kids' clothing would be worse than adult-sized clothing. It's just the size of the person, right? So I don't think that there should be any shame for somebody shopping in the kids section. The same way, if there's an article of clothing that you happen to want or like if, let's say if women's jeans fit you better than men's jeans or vice versa, who cares? It's all just articles of clothing that you're putting on your body, right? If it fits you better, what does it matter at what location in the store it was sold from? Functionally, it's the same thing. I get why it might bother you a little bit, but that's my view on it. Like, just wear whatever fits you best. I had a professor who would have to specifically order jeans from Japan because he was also a very small person. I think he was probably about 5'2" as well. And I always wondered this. I was like, why order from Japan when you could order from the kids section or buy from the kids
Sometimes
section.
people got first world struggles, and one of mine is finding clothes that fit. I always found myself out of league with girls when it came to the dating game, because there's the false notion that all hetero women want a man who's at least a whole story taller than them. I think their reasoning was that they found it cute when they have to travel a flight of stairs to give their boyfriend a kiss, but with most of my exes and my current partner being taller than me, let me remind you to stop dropping this, my short kings. That's right, there's hope for you. Yes, it may seem unfair that the one you're interested in has a taste for colossal titans, but you can't get mad at people
Okay,
for
so
having
it was intentional. The reference before was intentional for sure.
For every girl that said ew upon reading your height on Tinder, there's probably just as
Taekwondo
many
black
that
belt,
said the
let's go.
same after seeing your picture. That's right, fellas, it has nothing to do with height, you're probably just unattractive, and that's actually very normal. Sometimes they just be like that. I've always felt...
Okay, I thought it was him. Why did he make this guy just happen to be a Taekwondo black belt? Specifically. Like, that was very specific. Why? Is this his friend? And he's just roasting them? Can you guys tell me? It's gotta be his friend he's just roasting. For sure, right? For sure.
Disadvantaged when it came to sports because 95% of them make it so taller people have, well, the upper hand. Not all short guys can be Hinata from Haikyuu. Sometimes we're just short with the appropriate level of hops proportionate to our height. There are things I jump for every day that many of you simply reach for. Basketball was hard, volleyball was hard, and even though I liked track, it was hard seeing that some of my teammates literally needed half the strides I took to do a lap.
At the same time, though, there's certain sports that if you're very small, you have a mechanical advantage in, right? Like, extreme marathoning and extreme long distance running, it's actually a lot better to be shorter because you're able to be a lot more energy efficient when you're smaller. So you're able to go longer distances faster. So that's one sport. Another sport, it's really, really awesome to be outside of like the norm. If you imagine human size on a bell curve, it's pretty normally distributed. So if you're like at the top, like heavyweight, super heavyweight, or at the bottom, that's great for weight class based sports because there's not nearly as large of a talent pool that you're having to compete against as somebody who is literally the most averagest dude. I'm like 165, 5'11", the freaking middle of the bell curve, right? Like if you're on the top and you're like just an absolute massive human being, or you're on the bottom and you're a very small human being, that is so much easier to compete in. So like wrestling, boxing, even Olympic weightlifting, dude, weight class based sports are your friend. If there's anybody out there and you are like, dude, I love sports, but I feel like most of the mainstream team based sports I can't compete in, or even some of like tennis or whatever, just get into weight class based sports because then you're competing at a parity level with people who are your size. And if anything, being significantly different from the average is a strength because instead of competing with like 80% of the population, you're only competing with 20% of it. So get you that gold. Be like Henry Cejudo.
But I still have fun with sports because there are definitely situations where being smaller has its moments. I have a flat nose, and no amount of daily pinching from my mom was enough to change that. Glasses always felt a little awkward to wear because it doesn't fit nicely on my nose bridge. So I'm glad the daily 15-hour exposure to screen monitors hasn't ruined my eyesight yet. I often had other kids call me pig-nosed while making oinking sounds, and while it felt condescending, at least it didn't extend past that and indicate an underlying appetite for human flesh. You know how much kids love bacon. On top of that, well, more like inside of that, there's my long nose hairs.
Oh, I have those too, brother! Brother! It is good to meet another member of the Long Hair Nose Club. Dude, I recently purchased a nose hair trimmer. Probably the best purchase I have bought in the last 3 years. And it was $10. It changed my life. I would pluck these bad boys and I would cry. Cry myself. Not to sleep, because I would do it in the morning. Cry myself awake. It was awful. It was terrible. I was living in a nose hair-based, hellacious existence. But now, I hope this is an easy insecurity to take care of, man. Spend $7 on Amazon. You could use my Prime account. It'll come to you in 2 days. Boom. This one's gonzo. Done.
But some do manage to peek out. I mean, as an adult, most people I interact with are taller than me, so they don't have the angle of exposure. But again, other kids like to point them out when I was younger.
Trim them! Trim them!
You know, I'm starting to feel like the root of most insecurities are just kids pointing out things about you that don't necessarily need to be brought up.
Hey, did you know you have long nose hairs?
Oh shit, okay, Is that attractive? Does it offend your religion? Are you envious of the fact that the air I inhale better filters out bacteria and lessens my risk from asthma? Well, in that case, thanks, I grow them myself. I've had deep eye bags ever since I was a kid, and it got no better through my years of school, and definitely worsened after discovering video games and getting my own laptop. People would always think I looked tired, and they were right. I was tired of people pointing out my big forehead, which is why my hair went from this to this. Because kids—
Oh, no! Five-Head Gang! No! Expose it! Five-Head Gang, Jimmy Neutron Kings! No! Don't cover it up! No! Five-Head Gang!
Kids are observant assholes, but I eventually grew a liking to it anyway, so maybe I should be grateful to them.
Five-Head Gang,
I also
yes!
have really thin hair, and it's probably the reason why I don't cut my hair short anymore, because in doing so, looking at my head at certain angles make it appear as if I have bald spots. I already have eye bags making me feel old. I don't need simulated balding in my life right now. Not that there's anything wrong with being bald, I'm just in denial that I'm aging. I am definitely still in my 20s.
I'm really curious about this one because I have yet to see somebody who, and I don't actually, I think we might have a slightly unreliable narrator here, and who's not unreliable when they're talking about their own insecurities. We're all most biased about ourselves, and our perception of ourselves are always incredibly skewed. So he might not even have thinning hair, but if he does, I have yet to see somebody in real life ever in the history of my life who looked better when they had either thinning hair or receding hairline or anything related to going bald, and they kept their hair longer in order to compensate and or cover that fact up. I have never once ever in my life seen that look better than somebody trimming their hair. And I'm talking like really, truly receding hairlines, like truly bald spots, truly thinning hair. It always looks better when you get a good haircut from an actually good stylist or barber and just rock it. Any type of attempt to cover it up legitimately, guys, I've never seen it work. Ever.
2020 never happened. Therefore, my 30th birthday never happened. I don't consider this one as bad, and I've actually grown to embrace them, but I have feminine fingernails. Or at least that's what people have pointed out. It was definitely just toxic.
Girls' fingernails are way better than guys' fingernails.
Offended about it, but it doesn't bother me now. I am, however, still a little bothered about my knuckle hairs. Well, they're not really on my knuckles. What even is this part of the finger called?
They're kind of weird looking, right? I've got them too.
Of the finger called the proximal phalanx. Yeah, what's the point of hairs?
That's badass as hell. That sounds like a maneuver that Romans used to conquer or something, doesn't it? Execute the proximal phalanx, Maximus!
Specifically just there. Why not the middle or distal phalanx? I'm not insecure about them,
I have that
just
too,
want
only
answers.
on that one.
And finally, I am self-conscious about my perma-erect nipples. Am I allowed to talk about this? Is this flaggable? Any stalagmites in chat? They've been that way my whole life. It is why I avoid white t-shirts, because they're less visible with black and darker colored shirts. And even then, with the right lighting, or I guess the wrong lighting, they cast shadows and reveal themselves.
Bro Beans, I'm about to change your life. Girls have these things, they're called nipple pasties. You just slap them on, like the stickers, no one will see your nips. That's how girls cover up visible nipples in a lot of dresses and stuff like that if they want to. Trust me, invest in a nose hair trimmer and invest in nipple, whatever I just said. I don't remember what I said. Invest in those nipple thingies, and I've just knocked out 2 of your insecurities, then they don't exist anymore. I am the insecurity slayer.
Which has probably contributed to my bad posture in the attempts to hide them. If you ever invite me to the beach or a pool party, I'm either staying out of the water with my shirt on, or I'm always iceberged, while I envy the guys with pepperoni toppings. Daddy, look, there's narwhals in the water. Oh son, those aren't narwhals. It's just a short, balding pig. There's a lot about ourselves we can feel insecure about, but
I've never
I believe
noticed
it's
somebody's
because
nipples
we feel singled out,
being
as
erect
if being different
while hanging
is
out.
a negative. Or you're probably in some toxic relationships where you get gaslit on the daily, but the reality is that there's so many of us alike. We're just as good at hiding those insecurities from people who are insecure about the same things. Besides the tallest person on Earth, everyone is short to someone else. Flat-nosed people, probably less at risk of breaking them when face planting.
They are. Like, legitimately, when he said he was very small and had a flat nose, I was like, brother, you should go into boxing. Seriously. Weight class-based sport. And if your nose is flatter, it means it squishes more. The more cartilage you have and stuff, the more damage your nose actually ends up taking. And because of that, you end up getting, like, nosebleeds, nose breaks, all that kind of stuff. So if you like boxing, that might be the sport for you. Seriously.
Hard-nippled people, my ice cream
Hard
coners,
nipples, I don't know how
my
helpful that would be in
needle-nose
boxing.
pliers, my bugle buddies, where you at? Hello? Team? Lag?
That was cool. So that was Domics, guys. It was really interesting. My biggest insecurities when I was growing up were I have a mole on this side of my face right here. I have no idea why, but I thought that was the end of the world. I have no idea why. I thought in my head, it was the size of a baseball. I was so embarrassed about it. I hated that it was on my face. I wanted to get it removed. I'm really glad I didn't, because who cares? It's tiny. The other thing I was really insecure about is I thought my legs were really hairy. I was embarrassed of how hairy my legs were. I feel like they're very normal amount of hairiness. Sorry, by the way. I tried to keep my toes out of that and my feet out of that. I know that, like, dude feet are ugly. I've never been insecure about that. I just recognize dude feet are ugly. I was insecure about that. The other thing, my hands are kind of small compared to the rest of me. So kind of insecure about that, I guess. But the other two, I don't care about anymore. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. All my other insecurities are based on not my appearance. They're things that are way harder to change, like my actual decision-making and stuff I've done. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I thought that was a really interesting video. It's interesting how people deal with insecurities, because you can either accept them, or try to cope, or try to solve them, right? And there's some insecurities that it is actually possible to solve, and there's some that it's not, right? Like, if you are trying to solve long nose hair, that's a really easy fix. Like I said, $7 on Amazon, shoot. If you're trying to solve visibly erect nipples showing under your shirt, throw on the nipple pasties, boom, that should be fixed, right? Then there's other things like my small hands. How do I fix this? I don't know. I don't think it's possible. So that's like, okay, cool. That's firmly in the realm of, bro, accept it, get over it, right? Then there's other insecurities, and it's like, yes, my hands are small, but does it matter? No, it really doesn't matter. And then there's other insecurities where it's like, bro, this mole, your perception of it is just so completely flawed. No one else even notices that it's there. No one cares. Literally no one cares. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. That being said, guys, thank you so much. I'm Wesley. Subscribe down below for more reactions, and maybe check out the channel. We do a bunch. But that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.